Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen up, Turbo community. Today we are going to be diving into a few things. People wanted me to compare the volume for our coin to other coins because, even though I believe the context of the volume is that we're going sideways to start recovering. Pretty much, I'd say April, right? April should see nice recoveries. People still are a little concerned and they want me to compare it to other coins in terms of their volume to see if, I'm just BSing or if, turbo issue or, just for other reasons as well. In terms of news, there is no new news. And if you are new to this channel, if you are new to Turbo and you're watching this for the first time, maybe you're watching for the second time, listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna do a quick recap for just 30 seconds to 1 minute. But if you don't know, Turbo, it was made by AI. Okay, it was made $69 AI, and you know the rest is history. The rest is history. We can see, ladies and gentlemen, that we are listed on 120 spot exchanges, if not more, because I do believe that this was what is said already a few short months ago. And I know we got listed on a bit more. We could actually be reaching at 130, maximum 140. And yeah, we just continue to dominate the game. We can see that when we continue to scroll down, we are literally in multiple games, right? We can see. And I mean, we have a lot of collaborations, we have a lot of partnerships, and it is why I ultimately believe that this coin is going to be the best pickup when you talk about, pretty low risk for a meme coin to very high reward. Okay. The only more miniature version I see of this, which is like slightly less risk compared to Turbo, but way less reward, is something like Bonk. Okay. I've explained it before. Let me look at this. Absolutely fantastic, right? You also have a shop. The owner wants to create a book for people to buy for kids and for adults as well. And yeah, we can just see there's a lot, obviously, disclaimers. They have to do that, but a lot of things. Partnership with Chainlink, of course, Near Protocol. We could even go and develop on Turbo Chain. So if you are into that, if you want to do that, look, they give you all the instructions over here. So if you have some experience or it's something you want to pursue, then make sure to do so. And yeah, you can find it right here on the Turbo official site. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I just really, really like this coin. I said it yesterday, I'll say it again. It's, for me, this is one of those coins where, let's say, for a meme coin, this risk is, you know, 2 to 3, right? Somewhere there. And the reward is potentially 40, 50x. While something like Bonk coin might be risk, 1 to maximum 1.75 out of 10. And the risk to reward on that is maybe like a 15x from Bonk, right? So, 15, 17x from Bonk. So for me, it's like for slightly more risk, you can get like potentially 3 times the amount of reward. So for me, that's why I love Turbo, because if I'm going to be risking into a meme coin, I want the perfect balance between reward and risk. And that is what Turbo is, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Um, yeah. So we will be looking at some of the basic stuff we always do cover. We will go to Turbo right now and we will see the volume is, pretty solid. It has gone up a little bit more because we actually have kind of been moving a little bit more in the last day or so. We can see we are on an hourly, very, very slow across these days. And then, nice couple hour candles, a little bit slower. And then again, we went up. So overall, it's pretty slow movement, but we have gained a little bit of momentum. Market cap already at 180 million. Once again, Turbo is back to climbing the ranks. That is what we'd like to see. When we go to the holders, ladies and gentlemen, we can see we pretty much are at the peak. At this current moment of recording, we are down 2 holders, but it's probably going to correct itself by the time this video comes out because that's just the way it is pretty much 95% of the time, unless the big dump happens. And even then, even then we have been growing. You can see 91 to 9% for the sentiment. And before we dive into the technical analysis to finish off the video, we will talk about the volume, right? So we can see something like Turbo is right now at 40 million. It sometimes it chills between, 30, maybe 28, 32 million mark volume in terms of, in the last 24 hours. And, that's pretty low for Turbo. But like I said, I believe the context of the market is that we are going sideways. When we go to something like Brett, we can see Brett's volume, historically it has always been lower than Turbo's. But I mean, look, it's something that, we shouldn't really worry about. So we know that we've always had better volume than Turbo, sorry, than Brett, and we're pretty much, 2 times smaller. So look, once again, it looks pretty solid. I will go over a few other coins, something maybe that's relevant, or we can see Mog, right? Mog is also chilling at 13 million volume. It is, roughly 50 million market cap, bigger than us. So no concerns there. I know Peanut is pretty volatile, right? Peanut's one of those coins that actually has so much volatility, but it also has a lot of issues. So, volume's great on Peanut, but in terms of the coin itself, it has a lot of issues. When we go to something else like Pengu, we can see Pengu has roughly 30 or so million more volume, but you got to realize the market cap's like 3 times higher. So the ratios for us, once again, are absolutely fantastic. We could see WIF does have a lot of volume. It's one of those coins too. I believe this is because it is on the Solana chain, and Solana is just absolutely meta right now. But, do not quote me. Look, Bonk is back to 1.1 billion market cap. The volume has actually gone up almost double in the last 24 hours. And even then, it's at 160 million. So it is roughly 4 times higher than us. And our coin is 8 times like smaller, 8 to 9 times. So once again, a better ratio, right? A better ratio. And just to talk about volume, we have always hit extremely high numbers of volume. We really had top 5 volume for the day or for a couple days when Turbo with Coinbase and everything, right? So Turbo does not shy away from volume. It does not struggle with volume historically, and I have absolutely no issues, or I don't see any issues ever occurring. Now, there's a technical analysis to close off this video. We have technically been creating higher and higher lows, but we are hitting a point where I am a little concerned, and I want to see how this plays out. When I say concern, I mean a temporary pullback. I don't mean anything big. The bigger picture is that we should be fairly bullish. I did say though that when we are here, and if we do kind of create like a double top, I did expect a little bit of pullback and for another attempt for something like this. Now, the only thing I could see if failing is if Bitcoin, comes down to fill the gap at $84,500, which would be, ladies and gentlemen, $3,500 drop, which would be roughly 4%, which would be roughly probably 8% to 10% for Turbo. And that would bring us all the way down to roughly potentially, somewhere to these levels, right? We got this level over here as 5%, and then we got this level at 10%. So somewhere between here at 0.024 and 0.0245 is where we can see a pullback. I don't think anything massive should happen. Overall, right, we have been going sideways, and we are looking to start flipping the narrative once again. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm super excited for the future. Hope you guys are too, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.